Recently, I have been working with Isis within the temples and want to share with you an understanding I received. I was walking with Isis and she shared with me how we are all going through levels of personal surrender. We have to surrender ourselves to this process, to the changes we are experiencing, and to what we thought this time period would look and feel like. We are having to allow people to experience their creation, no matter how much that hurts. Surrendering has become a huge theme in the spiritual community. We say the words, yet most of us are not fully surrendering. We understand the concept with our heads, and now it must reach our hearts. She shared with me that most of us have programming that is in direct opposition to surrender. I asked her for an example, and she asked me to notice how the following synonyms feel in the body instead of the word surrender. As you listen to these words, feel where they hit you in the body. Submit, submission, abandon, quit, yield, give in, give up, succumb, resign, concede. As you're listening to these words, do you feel uncomfortable, tightness in the body, or do you feel complete resistance? Each of these words is a synonym for surrender. This shows where hidden programming can be triggered when we use the word surrender. Think about how many times we are told throughout life, never surrender, don't give up, winners never quit, and quitters never win. Look at the word abandon and the wounds that it can trigger. Even if we have extricated ourselves from the matrix, this subliminal programming is still running. When we say the word surrender, we may unconsciously connect to words that are deemed negative or make us seem to lack character or the ability to succeed. We also have to look at what true surrender means. It is the surrendering of our human will, which contains our ego, trauma, beliefs, and expectations. We are surrendering our human will and shifting into God's will. God's will is where we become more in tune, part of the flow of the universe, and we trust fully. At the base, surrender is the act of getting out of our own way to allow the divine to lead us completely. Isis also recommends that we look at where we have resistance to the word God. Many of us have experienced religious trauma. We use words such as source, the universe, etc. But when it comes to the word God, we have resistance. She explained that this resistance to the word God also keeps us from fully surrendering. I asked her what it would mean to surrender and what it looks like to go from the human will to God's will. She said the simplest explanation is full trust. Can we trust that what is happening, no matter how it looks, is exactly how it's meant to happen? Can we trust that what is meant for us will find its way to us? Can we allow ourselves to be completely in the flow, to work hard when the wind is at our back, and to rest when the wind is pushing against us? This is the exact opposite of what the hustle culture teaches. Can we trust that being in the flow may not mean that we only experience things that are deemed positive? This can be quite a stumbling block to fully surrender our human will to God's will. Is that we have the misconceived notion that when we are in the flow, everything should be perfect. This would be nice, but it's not truth. There are times when being in the flow means an incident happens that brings an understanding of a hidden trauma or wound. It can be painful and brutal, and yet it's exactly what needs to happen, and is part of being in the flow. Full surrender and trust require that we operate from the heart space first and the mind second. All of this requires that we get out of our own way and let go of the illusion that we need to be in control. Isis explained that when one is working on surrendering to God, to the flow, they may find that their body is uncomfortable and that they are unable to let go of the spinning mind. The advice was to take a step back. Pushing or forcing ourselves to surrender is the exact opposite of what is needed. Isis explained that when we fully surrender, it will be full of ease and joy, and we will feel held. If we do not feel this, it's due to resistance and a lack of trust showing us where inner work is needed. When we take a step back, we are asked to reaffirm our intention to surrender continually and request assistance from our spirit teams. We also need to work on how we see things. If we can truly believe that all is happening exactly as it should be, then full surrender is the next step we take. True surrender to God is not an easy task. When we begin this process, our ego often gets triggered. The benefit is that it will allow us to see the fears that arise and where we have bought into the illusion of control. We are finding ourselves in deeper and deeper waters as we are bathed with intense light and frequencies. I have been shown a pulse that we are receiving that is common and coming from this galaxy where Source resides. This pulse is a beacon calling us home within ourselves, so that we may know the divine within and without. May we use this time to surrender and flow with love, joy and ease. Sending you all lots of love. Jenny. This was a message from Jenny Schiltz, read for you by Adriana.